Hello everyone, Alternating Bit here. While I normally do reviews of music equipment for production, I, for some reason, just really felt inspired to do a review of a portable audio player. We're going to be looking at the SURFANS F20. Just the name itself makes me cringe. I typically prefer to buy well-known brands. I was actually first looking at the higher-end Astell&Kern line. I was ready to blow like $600 to $800 for their lowest line. And before I did so, I realized, do I really need all that? At my age, my ears are not what they used to be, and I'm not that picky when it comes to the highest specs of audio. I like crisp, clean music. I used to always use a mini disc player, which has great sound. And then eventually I ended up getting used to using a phone, and well, I just can't stand that anymore. So that said, the demographic of whoever's watching this most likely is not going to be those high-end audio people. I haven't seen that many videos on this unit, and I wanted to share mine. It has no internal memory. It comes with an SD card, a 32 gigabyte micro SD card, and it supports up to 256. And at least that's what it says in the manual. You could probably get a larger one and try it, but the maximum capacity is 15,000 songs, and shortly you'll see how that can actually be overwhelming or more than you want to be able to deal with. So structurally, this is a beautiful thing. It's made of metal and has a kind of a glass type, I don't know, polycarbonate, I forget what it's called, this backing. And it does scratch. I've had this in my pocket with keys. I'm not gonna baby this thing, I'm just gonna use it. It has the 1/8 inch headphone jack and has a direct audio output for headphone amps. I use some very basic earbuds that I'm very happy with. I usually use a volume level. This thing goes up, well, obviously it goes up to 100, but I usually put it up to around 70, 75, depending upon the level of recording. I also have these that require a little bit more juice, but they're 80 ohms, so they don't need a lot. And this has a setting for boosting the output even further. There's gain, high and low. That's what I was talking about with the headphones. So I have it on low, but you can put it on high, which gives it, I don't know, like a 15% boost. So it's not enough for like maybe some cans that require major power, but it definitely would boost it up. There's a newer model that has a more visual screen, lets you see albums. However, it isn't touchscreen, and it's kind of a tease because you see those screens and you want to touch them, but you can't. Even the bottom buttons to access them are not easily visible. They don't light up. So I went with this one using the traditional iPod style wheel, which, to be honest, it's okay, but I actually prefer just the tactile buttons, which actually do the same thing. The only time I find that I need to use the wheel is when I have a long list of artists that I need to click through. There's two ways to view things. One is through music, which is basically playlist. You can look by albums and by artists, but you can also look into the root file structure. And if you do that, you can actually use the up and down buttons, and you can press this and hold it down, and it'll fly through. Very nice. You can't do that when you're in the music mode, when you're browsing through songs, playlists, and such that way. For some reason, they decided, well, you can't hold it down. You have to manually click, 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 click. And I find with a large library, if you have a lot of music in here, you just have to find, like, this is the A's of the alphabet. So if I want to get to the M, I'm going to just be doing this for a good while because of the amount of music that I put in here and because I'm only using mostly MP3s at 320. That's one of the downsides. I'm going to just cover all the downsides. Let's just knock those out really quick because I'm really thrilled with this player. I'm just going to share my little hang-ups with it. For me, the main downside of all is when the screen times out, and you can actually set how long it's going to be. You've got in your pocket, you want to adjust the volume. You can't volume rock in your pocket. Why? Because when the screen times out, everything times out. All buttons are dead unless you hit the power button again to resume. Then you can do the volume. So basically I see it as an alt key now. You know, it's a two-step process. If you adjust the volume, you have to power up the screen and then adjust the volume. That is the biggest absurdity about this unit. Don't know why they did that. I think the other hang up I have is how you set the EQ settings, which they're customizable. To change these bands, it took me a while to figure this out because you hit enter, you're like, wait, where am I? Oh, okay, so it's that one. So I'm moving it up and down. Okay, so now I want to go to the one to the right. I have to hit stop and then blindly click over to the next band. Oh, no, see, I skipped it with the wheel, so maybe it's better to move with the click. Yeah, so that's how you do it. You adjust one band, you acknowledge where it's at, then you have to remember that this moves to the right, this moves to the left, and again, it's blindly. 3 clicks, okay, I'm now over there. So really, really strange way to set up an EQ alteration, but at least you can make your own custom EQ setting. I would like some way, and I know it would still be a very archaic method because it's a very primitive OS, but to do a search by letter or something so that if you want to jump to the L's, you don't have to sit here and dial over and over and over again. And that's, again, if you have a very large music library. Let me just jump in now with the things I love about this unit. First of all, it sounds great. Very, very warm, very crisp. It brings you closer to the music. You feel like you're more immersed into the music. I mean, I guess the warmth depends upon what headphones you're using. It has maybe more of a sterile sound compared to higher end units, but much higher quality than if you play the same files on your phone. I happen to like this industrial kind of retro look. Now, that's not going to be everybody's thing, but I think it really works. And I think its limitations become kind of a plus. It just works for me. I think they did a really good job on the size of this unit. Again, I feel the wheel is just a little pointless, and it feels like the body needs to be bigger to really use it properly, because if you're holding it like this, you have your thumbnail, you kind of like have to back off. If you're left-handed, it's probably a little bit easier, but even then, you feel like you have to push the unit kind of farther away to use it. So the wheel is, again, I think more of a gimmick to a degree, but it's there, it does function. But I still think they did a good job on size. If going for a walk or something, or a run, and you don't want to take your phone with you, pop this in your pocket. It's just a really nice size versus, say, and this is an older phone, but now phones are even larger than this. But you can see this in your pocket wouldn't be quite as heavy or large. Really cool player, sounds great, compact, very durable. It feels like a high-end unit when it's really a low-budget player. Has a little bit of limitation when you're used to the OS of our phones, and I've noticed that digital audio players are becoming more and more like phones, which is exactly what I'm trying to avoid. I kind of like the old file system. I would prefer to see the album covers while browsing, but I understand there's only so much you can have at such a low price point. This is Alternating Bit, sharing my love for portable audio. Thanks for watching.